Hello, and welcome to video 3 of the Connecting Rod series presented by ESA Core and brought to you by MSC Software. In this video, we will be going over meshing, refining a mesh, and mesh seeds. So, first and foremost, we're going to come over here to the assembly. I'm going to right-click on the piston, and we're going to set current, so that way any of our geometry that we create or surfaces we create will be inserted into this group, the piston group. Next, we're going to show only, so that way we show only the piston. Alright, we're going to come over to the meshing tab, and we see all of our different meshing capabilities. We have our 1D curve mesh, our surface meshing, solid meshing, our 2.5 meshing, which is our hex meshing tool, and we can create node and our seeding tools. Now, first we're going to just throw a standard default solid mesh on here, Tet-Mesh, and see what it looks like. Now, normally it'll throw on a perfectly good mesh just like this, and this mesh is nice, but sometimes your customers will want higher fidelity in certain regions, and there are multiple ways to do that. So I'm going to undo this. Now, say they wanted more fidelity around the piston ring areas. So what we could do by seeding those curves, or we could do it by surface mesh. I will show you seeding first. You have three options for your seeding. You have your number seeding, so like say I want 100 points on this edge. If I click that middle mouse button, I have 100 points right here that will seed the edge with the elements that I want. Now, I could also do it by size and make it 1/10 of an inch, or we'll make it 1/2 inch so you can see a difference. Click the curve, go ahead and hit, and you can see it created a point every 1/2 inch. Go ahead and undo that. Or we could do a bias, in which case it'll start with one type and then end a little differently. So in this case, we'll say I want 100 points, but I want a bias ratio of 0.05. Now if I do this, it'll start small, and then as it progresses, it'll start getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until the curve ends. That's another way we could seed. So I'm going to the down here and click the Z so that way we could straighten this out. And we're going to do a seed. We'll just do a control point size, and we'll make it 0.1. And we'll select the curves we want, which will be the around the piston ring area, which is that. Unselect the curves we don't want, and hit our middle mouse button to apply. And as you can see now, it is seeded every 1/10 of an inch with a point. Now we can go to our solid mesh and see how that applies. And as you can see, the mesh around the piston area is a lot finer. Now, the other way we could go about this, go ahead to undo the mesh and undo the seed, is surface meshing. Now here, I'm going to go with the default, which is a mixture of quads and tris. And I'm going to make it the mesh size 1/10 of an inch. Select the faces that I want. Go ahead to the triad again and just select the faces that I want. Unselect the ones I do not want, and double check to make sure that all the faces that I want are selected and none that I don't. That appears to be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll make this 0.05. We'll make it smaller. 0.05 inches. Click our middle mouse button. And now we have a nice fine mesh around here, which looks really, really good. I like it. So now we can solid mesh. Go ahead and click and apply. And it says here at the bottom left where our status is that one body or one group of connected bodies cannot have both higher order elements and lower order elements. So what that means is that my solid mesh here is making quadratic elements. So that must mean that my surface mesh must have linear elements. Well, to check that, I go over to the mesh, I go right click, click properties, and I can see right here my element type is in fact linear shell elements. So it's no big deal. I could just change that to quadratic, hit apply, cancel to get rid of the bar, solid mesh, and let's try this again. Oh, now we have another error. This one says that one body cannot have both quad elements and tet elements. Okay, so again, to change that, we just have to go back to the mesh, the surface mesh, right click, select properties, and we can see that it right now is a combination of both quads and tris. Now it's saying that we can't have quads, so we have to have only tris. So we click tris, apply, and now we have only tri elements. So now the solid mesh should work just fine. And there we go. And now we have a fine mesh where we need it, and it actually extends into a coarser mesh in the areas where we don't need it. So that way it saves us elements and nodes. And that concludes this video.